Hello and welcome to another fun-filled nonsense retrospective. I'm your host as always, Rick. Joining me equally as always is Devon.
Come as we descend into the origins of the Sith, but not really though.
The origins of modern Sith, but also not really, yeah. As we find out. Yeah. Today we're talking about the Acolyte. Not so hot on the heels as we could have been because we were not so well last week, but about as soon as we could have done it. Before we get too far into that, though, let's go with our good old time-honored tradition of the nonsense, asinine hypotheticals. What have you got for me today?
Well, sort of on brand, really. Congratulations, Rick. You get to make one change to the Star Wars universe that you know for a fact every single fan of Star Wars will hate. What do you do?
Maxi-chlorians.
Go on, you're going to have to give me more than that.
Because everyone hated midi-chlorians, so make bigger ones. Make entire beings made out of the Force.
That's already kind of a thing.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's the wills and everything. That's the first thing that came to the top of my head. Triple-bladed lightsabers.
That's also kind of already a thing.
Yeah.
Like, need I remind you, in one of your favourite interpretations of Star Wars, Visions, someone had an umbrella.
Yeah, the saber-brella, yeah. And it was the first fucking episode as well.
It would have had to have been, because I only watched like half of season 1 and I remember that shit, and I was like, that's kind of cool, I see what they were going for, but at the same time, it's really stupid.
Yeah. What else would people be super mad about? A Wookiee who isn't confined to Shiriwuk and can just speak English.
As soon as you said a Wookiee, I'm like, yes, a Wookiee that talks. That people would hate it.
Talking Wookiee, yeah. He's just... Even worse, he's voiced by Mater.
Oh, he's voiced by Danny DeVito.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I think people would like that.
I was gonna marry that whore!
So anyway, I started roaring.
No, you know what? I think you got a point. People would love that.
Yeah. I'm sticking with it though. I like it. How about you? What's your addition that everyone will hate?
Grey Jedi were never a thing, and you were stupid for thinking they were a thing. That's what Count Dooku says on screen.
Yep.
There you go. The Grey Jedi have never been a thing in canon, you know, as far as Disney is concerned. But I've always thought the concept of Grey Jedi was fucking dumb. And I think Grey Jedi being canon would be the worst thing ever. But in reality, I know the bulk of the fan base would be like, no, my Grey Jedi! Because all they...
Yeah, because it's just one of those things, like, even towards the end of, like, Expanded Universe, they decided to make nearly all regular Jedi into Grey Jedi.
It's such a pointless distinction. All they mean is a Jedi that doesn't follow the strict tenets. But if you read any fucking... anything that's not the canon bullshit that Disney shoves down our throats, that's kind of what most Jedi do anyway.
Yeah, like, anyone who's worth following as a protagonist essentially qualifies as grey by dogma.
Like, Plo Koon's the fucking shit. Mace Windu is the shit. You can't tell me that Mace Windu is not borderline a Sith by most people's standards with how he fucking and then he started swinging.
Yeah. He decapitates Django.
Yeah, he does do that. But I don't really... Here's the thing, is I feel like a lot of... I feel like it's implied that at that point in time, Mace Windu didn't really know he was a dude and thought he was just another clone, but evil. I could buy that.
Yeah.
Because that's another thing, that if you haven't watched Clone Wars, by the way, they really hammer home how about 9/10 of Jedis really don't see clones as people.
It's kind of a problem.
It is a problem. It's the focal point of several episodes, one of which is really good because I forget which the exact clones involved. I believe Rex and Cody are both there, and one of the clones is like, why should I follow these guys' fucking orders? They don't see us as any different than droids. And the response that the quote-unquote good clones have is, you gotta follow orders, that's what we do. They don't argue with him, they just say, no, we were made to follow orders, so we follow orders. Which is fucked.
Yeah, totally.
But yes, anyway, I think I've rambled for long enough. Fuck Grey Jedi. Rick, what's your question?
My one for you is more of a tangent to this, because this was kind of loosely based around the High Republic comic series in particular. What other comic series would you like to see a spin-off live action of?
Does it have to specifically be Star Wars?
Doesn't have to be Star Wars, can be anything.
In which case I want to see... I don't think we'll ever get it, and I don't think they'll do it justice, but I absolutely... I don't know if adore is the right word, but I had fun reading X-Men vs. Avengers.
Sure, okay.
Because it really does highlight a lot of specific characters to the extreme. Like, Scott Summers goes off deep end and shows everyone that, yeah, he's a fucking Boy Scout and a stickler for the rules, but when he thinks he's right, he is such a dickhead about it.
Yeah.
Like, it's... He is actually insufferable. And it's made even more insufferable because I know people like that.
Yeah. Like, people love a good heel.
And the annoying thing about that particular... Well, I don't think it's annoying. I think it's justified and it gives me such a fucking boner. Is he is 100% wrong, but he thinks he's right and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
When Magneto agrees with you...
Okay. However, Magneto's been a good guy for almost as long as he's been a villain now.
Okay, but... Oh.
Yeah, when Magneto is being portrayed unequivocally as a villain and he agrees with you, then maybe take 10 or 12 steps back.
I mean, it was kind of... It was a bit more murky than that. It was a very solid grey area, because Magneto was firmly in his face phase, because Charles was gone.
Yes.
But, you know, I believe Magneto's actual logic was... and again, it's been a minute since I've read this run, please don't come at me. It was literally just, if the humans were in this position, they'd do this to us, so why shouldn't we do it to them first? And that's a fucked up rationale to have. You know? But anyway, I digress. Yeah, I'd like to see that. Spider-Man gets to be the most Spider-Man in his little moment. Wolverine's got the most interesting part in that story, because he tells both sides to fuck off, because they both recruit him, because he is in both teams.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Yeah, and it's basically like, eventually, here's the thing, Wolverine does eventually join the Avengers team, but that's because his goal is, hey, I don't think we should do this, but I also don't want to kill, Jean's kid, so I'm in a bit of a rock and a hard place, guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I've gushed for long enough. You've clearly got an answer because you've been thinking for longer, so let's have it.
Mine is just that I would like to see The Watchmen as a series, because I think as good as the movie was, I think it's got enough legs to be, like, massively expanded.
Cool, you want the polar opposite of what the creator wanted.
Yeah, like, he wanted one thing that just came and went, and I kind of want the same, but I want it over the course of, like, 10 hours worth of exploration.
I need to stress this enough. Alan Moore didn't even want it to be a fucking movie.
Oh, yeah, he's a bit of a stickler for his artistic vision of his thing being his thing, and only the way in which he made it.
To be fair to him,
wanted to, yeah.
I think his ending was slightly better than what the movie went with, but I totally understand why the movie went the direction it did, because some things you gotta change for different medium. That's just the way it is. Also, they made Rorschach like fucking 10 times cooler in the movie than he was in the book. Yes.
Yeah, you got to see him being just viscerally violent in real time, which is something that you can't really appreciate as well in comics. Like, even when you see a tooth flying and some blood, you don't appreciate how sudden it is. You know?
Also, in the comics, they make him a bit more, not even a bit more, a lot more antisocial, and he comes off as a bit of a loser, and they make an express reference to the fact that he always smells, and I don't know why they do that, but they do, and it makes the character significantly less cool. Whereas in the movie, you watch it, and you get to see the moment where he turns from Batman to the Punisher, and it's fucking sick.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that would make a really cool viewing experience. Alan Moore himself be minorly damned. But yes, let's be talking about what we're actually talking about today. We're going to be talking about the Acolyte. And
before we get into the deep nitty-gritty stuff, Rick, let's just lay our fucking thoughts on the table. Overall, what was your opinion?
Generally, I liked it, but there were individual episodes that annoyed me.
And you see, here's the thing, is in general, I don't think it was bad, but there was just so much schlock that I did not care for.
Yeah. Now, the problem is this comes off the back of Ahsoka, which I think was universally adored by actual fans.
Which is funny, because I remember Ahsoka. We did a retro on Ahsoka, if I recall correctly. And if we didn't, we definitely spoke about it in private. And I didn't like the first half of Ahsoka.
Sure. Well, here's the thing. Like, Ahsoka really did feel like Star Wars, whereas this just felt like a story that had Jedi. And I think part of the problem with that is that we have, like, I've not read the High Republic. I've not read the novels, I've not read the comics. So this is essentially my first introduction to the High Republic feel. And it was a bit weird seeing Jedi in uniform, you know?
Well, yeah, and here's the other thing as well, is we touched upon this when we, during our weeks when this first came out, or a couple of weeks after it came out, because I was a bit late to actually starting watching it, where I was really baffled that the opening crawl was like 100 years before the prequel trilogy, basically, because all of the interviews and the previous stuff that was building this up implied that it was going to be thousands of years ago, not 100.
Yeah, so when the High Republic was first announced and they said, oh, it's 100 years ago, like, I was like, oh, that's too soon. Like, Yoda's still kicking around. He's already old by that point.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, like, he's already 800.
I mean, like, case in point, as soon as it said 100 years ago, I'm like, fucking Yoda's going to turn up. And, oh, by the way, we're going to spoil the Acolyte. What was the fucking stinger scene?
Yeah, the back of Yoda's head.
And it was like, yeah, no shit they were going to end on this. Fuck you.
Yeah, but you saw the Ki-Adi-Mundi reference episode like half a day before I did. So
I did, and here's the thing: is I wasn't that bothered about it. I thought it was weird, but whatever. It's like, here's a character we're familiar with in the background of a scene. It's a bit weird that they've put this character here, but whatever. But the internet threw a fucking shit fit over it, and it was kind of funny.
Like, it retroactively becomes really funny because he's like, I'm too proud to admit anything. Yeah. And then he's the one that specifically says, there's not been Sith for lots of years. Yeah.
To be fair, though, from the context of him being in that scene and only that scene, he's not lying, because he's not... As far as we're aware, the only person privy to that information right now is Green Lady.
Yeah, Master Vanestra, who, by the way, is, like, because of the comics, I knew that she had the light whip.
Yeah, you showed me the panel, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Also, further demonstrating that anyone who complains about weird lightsaber designs is a fucking moron.
Yes.
It's been a thing forever. I don't like all the lightsaber designs, but it's been a thing. Fuck me, if you look at the fucking Star Wars D&D rip-off game, because they're just literally ripping the D&D 5 ed rules, that it's just like, here's a great axe. It's made out of lightsaber shit. How does that work? Don't fucking ask questions.
Yeah.
It just does.
It's a stick, and it's got two lightsabers at the top.
It's so fucking dumb, but who gives a fuck? It's Star Wars. It's kind of expected going in. That being said, there's dumb Star Wars bullshit, and then there's, why did they make this decision?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm a bit less high on it than you are. You're obviously not the highest on it. You're like, overall, it was. You wouldn't say it was bad. That's what you're saying, right?
Generally, like, I think it has legs. I think it has, I'm still going to watch season 2 when it comes out, which, let's be honest, it will obviously come out because we're not, it doesn't give us a real ending.
I'll tell you what, I think that might be one of my biggest criticisms about this, and I guess we can still, once again, blame Netflix for this, where...
Oh yeah, massive Netflix-itis.
Yeah,
like,
every season has to have an open end. They can't fucking finish something. It's one of the reasons why Andor was good, because it finished. Yeah, it had the little cliffhanger, but that cliffhanger could have just been leading to Rogue One.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it makes sense, and that's fine. But
like, here's the thing: we know Rogue One
something.
happens. We know that Andor dies there.
We do.
Yeah.
It's one of those. It was also kind of why the ending was a bit depressing, but it's also like it fits Andor's story. It makes sense. He's not a happy bunny.
No. But yeah, in episode 1 we have Master Indara, who is she's played by Trinity, I believe.
Yeah, so we've got a mutual friend who told me this, and they said, oh, apparently they haven't aged that much and all this. And I went, I don't know who you're talking about. And they went, Trinity from Matrix. I went, it's been 20 years since I've seen that movie. I don't know who that is. And they went, this actor. And I went, okay. And I said, dude, it's been 20 years. Like, that doesn't mean anything to me. And it's like the main girl from Matrix. I went, okay, sure. But it doesn't help when it's in Star Wars. I don't know if they're talking about Green Lady. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So, It was a little bit weird that she was able to be just killed so easily.
You can say this about both Jedis killed by, not Osha, the other one.
May, yeah. Like, the other one just drank a poison. Like, that was weird.
Hey, and guess what? The justification from finally the revelation in episode 7 wasn't enough.
No, because he was clearly under mind control when he did everything that he did wrong.
Well, he wasn't under mind control when he rushed the place. He wanted to go back to Coruscant, but whatever.
Oh, yeah. He was under slight manipulation, at least.
Yeah, it didn't make a lot of sense. It really didn't. But we'll get to that when we get to episode 7. Episode 1 released at the same time as episode 2. Once again, I think that was a smart decision.
Yes. This is, in the first couple of episodes, Osha was the only one credited because they were trying to keep the fact that May existed as a separate person slightly secret.
Even though it was quite clear from the end of the episode that they were two people.
Oh, yeah. So for the first couple of episodes, Osha and Kid Osha have two actresses.
Oh, that's silly.
Yeah. And then finally they just let it be known that it's Kid May. Jackie is incredibly cute.
She is. Jackie's cute. I really liked Yord, and in hindsight, it's really obvious why they made those characters so likable.
Yeah. It's to give us a gut punch when things happen later.
Well, yeah, because the thing happened, and it was like, I don't care about these tame nameless Jedi that just got slaughtered in a really cool fight scene. But yeah, I really cared about these two, of which, by the way, Osha is directly responsible for Yord dying.
Yep.
I feel like I feel like she doesn't beat herself up enough about that. Almost as if she didn't give a shit.
Yeah, it's as if she's kind of like coming to terms with the fact that she don't care. Either that or that she's more frustrated than upset, you know?
By the by, they've given the actor a lot of shit, and I don't know why, but I generally was incredibly, I don't want to say impressed, but satisfied with Sol as a character.
Yeah. I liked Sol. He had his arc wasn't great.
Oh God, no!
But until that, he was a really interesting character to watch. Like I wanted to know more about him until we found out the worst things, and we were like, oh wait, no, go back, undo.
Well, even the worst things about him weren't that bad. It's just, like, okay, it was we'll get to it when we get to episode 7. There's things to fucking dissect there. Episode 2, I'd say, is probably more egregious than episode 1 because I didn't really buy the Jedi Master being beaten in 1-to-1 combat by May, but whatever. And it was even more baffling that she managed to get I've forgotten his name.
Corbin.
Master
Torbin.
Torbin, that's it. Yeah, it didn't.
Jeremy Corbyn.
Shut up. I didn't really understand why, and even when they justified it with the later episode, it's like, again, I feel like we're repeating it, but it bears repeating. It doesn't seem like enough motivation for him to just go, yep, I'm going to kill myself now. I was hella curious as to why he had so many scars. That question got answered, and again, I take umbrage with that.
Yeah. It's weird that he's so bullshit powerful, though.
Yeah, okay, so if we look at the official timeline, apparently they get to Coruscant, he gets instantly promoted to Master, and then he takes this bullshit vow that makes him immortal.
Yeah, I don't know why the vow makes him immortal. Like, I guess he's just, while you were...
Well, you were studying the blade, I was having a nap.
Yeah, I was studying the nap. I was studying transcendence. Like power-leveling pacifist wizard.
Yeah. I had a real fucking annoyance streak in this in episode 2 in particular, when they were investigating the Jedi Temple and Osha just fucked off from the group. And it's like, what are you doing? You're still under scrutiny. And then Yord happened to follow her, and everyone's like, oh, you killed the blah-de-blah. And it's like, oh, I followed her, she didn't. And it's like, oh, it's all good then. It's like, why was this scene included? This didn't need to be a thing.
Yeah, it was a bit weird. It does actually prove that Yord has a sense of justice, though. Like, he's willing to speak up on Osha's behalf when something that she's being blamed for obviously wasn't her fault.
Yeah, but it was only obviously not her fault because he decided to follow her. If anything, it proves that Yord doesn't trust her, and that's about it.
To me, it proves both. He doesn't trust her, but also that he's, like, on the side of justice.
Yeah, but again, you kind of knew that already. Do you know?
Well, you also knew he was a bit of a maverick, so, like, it wouldn't be, like...
There's maverick and then there's lying when a fucking murder happened. Those are two different things.
Well, when it gets you what you want.
But it was very clear from the get-go, he didn't want Osha to be blamed for something she didn't do. He thought that she did the thing, so therefore he was pursuing it as if she was. He then found out she wasn't, so he dropped it. That's not having a sense of justice, that's just, that's not proving your, more justified than you already were. It's just new information came to light, so he dropped it.
Yeah. This is also the episode where Osha impersonates May.
Poorly.
Yes.
And yet well enough to trick Quimir, which is very even more weird when we find out what we do in 2 episodes' time.
Yeah, well enough to trick Quimir for about 5 seconds, which is long enough for him to let something slip.
Yeah.
This is when he's still pretending not to be the master.
Yeah, it was. I remember messaging you at the end of episode 4 where they had a cliffhanger, and it's just like, dude, they make it super obvious who that is at the end of episode 4, and as soon as you finish watching it, you were like, oh yeah, it's definitely so-and-so, and I went, yeah, right?
Yeah, like, there's absolutely zero chance that it's not him. Yeah. Otherwise, why introduce this character?
Well, not even that. It's just like, he's the only other person they've shown on the planet, and he's tied up and helpless, and it's like, I bet he fucking ain't.
Yeah. Episode 3 is the one that everyone hated.
Yeah, rightly so. It was a boring episode to watch. It was full of exposition that wasn't exposition because the most important questions weren't answered. And quite frankly, I think this episode is what damns May. Because even with the revelations of episode 7, I don't give a fuck. She lit a fire to kill Osha. She did that.
Yeah, she did. She did it. She burnt down the entire temple with a book.
She immediately regretted it, but that's not the point. She still did it.
Yeah, and ran.
Yeah, well, to be fair, they do show that in episode 7 she ran to try and get someone to help her put out the fire, but it wasn't to be.
Yeah, this was a boring episode. Like, what it does show is that they have the mums, and they were doing some Night Sister rituals, and May got branded and Osha didn't.
Yeah, and that's why we can always tell the difference between the two. And, also, by the way, they did an Anakin. Yeah,
they got Anakin.
A lot of people apparently complained about this, and I'm not quite sure why, because, again, we have precedent for this being a thing.
We get double precedent as well, because we get to see a shadowy figure.
Do we?
Yeah.
Are you sure you're not thinking about later?
Oh yeah, far later.
Yeah, okay.
But like the point is that either it was his idea and that's the deal that the Night Sisters made to make the twins, or he got the idea from them making the twins and did it himself later.
Are you implying that the shadowy figure that the witches keep conjuring is the person we see in episode 7? Or, sorry, 8?
I think so.
Okay, I didn't get that at all.
Well, no. The shadowy figures that they're conjuring is just themselves. They're just using shadow magic to just poof a little bit.
Okay.
But what I mean is, like, they use the virgins to create the twins. Whether it's them that do it of their own accord and Plagueis gets his idea from them, or whether Plagueis taught them how to do it, we don't know.
Yeah, but Plagueis isn't shown interacting with the witches at all. He's
not shown.
No, the only glimpse we get of Plagueis is in episode 8, where we see him fucking lurking in a cave for some reason and seeing May.
Yeah.
And I thought the implication was that he could sense that she was made from the Force, and he's thinking, oh, that's a good idea.
Ooh, yeah. What if? And the Night Sisters, okay, in canon they're meant to be super evil, but in this they're just kind of slightly spooky, but not very. They're just a coven of women who live together.
Yeah, that's another thing that I was like, this is the episode that actually annoyed me the most, because they were very much framing the Night Sisters as purely innocent, which this coven seems to be, which I didn't mind on its own, but they were doing that at the same time as, by the way, the Jedi are the Gestapo, which I thought, which to me, from my exposure to Star Wars, is like, that's really not how things go.
Yeah, I guess they're trying to play up how unchecked power has corrupted the Jedi in this era.
But they did a poor job of that, because again, they painted every single Jedi we saw, pretty much see this entire series up until like episode 4, when you just got people having fucking meetings, is painted in the worst possible light.
Yeah, they're just... The Jedi are at their height of hubris.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm just saying, it doesn't make any sense. You can't show one person being good that's not a fucking Padawan.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get to the other crux of this episode. Hey, metal burns good.
Yeah, apparently.
So I actually followed this, I'd say drama a little bit by poking around, because sometimes I'll get bored and go down Reddit holes. And someone who works in the industry, that is the film industry, straight up said they know exactly what happened here. The way they ran it down was they got a description for what they wanted the setting to look like. They made the setting. They you know how set dressers work and stages are built. And then the person writing the script suddenly decided to change their mind, but they didn't tell the fucking setting guys.
Right. Okay.
And that's how come the fire. because I imagine I'm quoting someone from memory, so not really a quote, but it's them saying it, not me. There we go. Is what they imagine happened was originally it wasn't going to be a fire that happened, but then they suddenly decided that the big event's going to be a fire, which doesn't work when everything's made of fucking stone and metal as opposed to wood. Because that's the only change they needed to make, was have everything be made of wood, which makes even more sense when you consider the rest of the planet's on a fucking forest world.
Yep.
Just saying, like, a little bit of consistency in that regard, because again, I'm not a fucking nitpicky kind of guy. I think you can attest to this.
Well, the entire retrospective today is just nitpicking.
You know what I mean. When I'm just watching something, I'm not a nitpicky piece of shit. But when I'm watching something and my brain goes, why is everything on fire? That's not a good thing to happen to your casual audience.
Yeah. It's a bit of a baffle.
I mean,
But yeah, the next one is the fight episode.
Nope, the fight happens in episode 5. Episode 4 is all set up.
Oh, yeah. This is the one where, you got the shot of everyone with lightsabers, but they don't actually get the fight until later. Isn't this the one where you see Kelnaka right at the end, and then he's just been killed right at the end?
Yeah, at the beginning you see him just sort of chilling in his ship that's been crashed forever. They don't really explain why he's here or why he decided to do this, but I guess fuck it, who cares? People have only wanted to see a fucking Wookiee Jedi forever on screen, but who cares, right? And yeah, at the end he's just been slashed once, and it's kind of implied that he doesn't care and decided to die, which again is another thing that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and apparently he's been spamming all of the Night Sisters sigils all over his house.
Okay, I guess it's implied he's gone mental.
Yeah.
Which, I didn't actually notice that myself, so... Yeah,
when they come across him, he's got a visible lightsaber slash across him, and this is after May and Quimir are walking along. May strings Quimir up in a trap and leaves him behind, saying, yes, I did need you, and now I don't.
Yeah, and this proper fucking triggers Quimir, because all he's ever wanted is a loyal apprentice.
Yeah, and it's very obvious that he doesn't have one.
Yeah. You feel a little bit bad for May here, in the sense that she gets to Kelnaka just like 5 seconds. It doesn't make any sense how Quimir got there first, but whatever. And it's kind of implied that Quimir is a lot more gentle with May than May seems to think, because Quimir is constantly assuring her that your master clearly doesn't want you to fail. And when he said that, I was like, it's clearly fucking you.
Yeah.
Gone.
It also bugs me that getting another Jedi Master to drink poison willingly doesn't count as killing a Jedi without a weapon.
The rules are made up and the points don't matter.
Yeah. Fucking silly.
But yeah, May gets to Kelnaka after she's already been killed, and I think you're meant to feel a bit bad for her because, she didn't actually commit this murder and suddenly she's surrounded by Jedi. But then it's like, that doesn't work because she's already killed 2.
Yeah, she's already a murderer. It's not like you get off for good intentions.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, she murdered 1 person. I think you could argue that she didn't really kill the fucking former Padawan because he just decided to off himself because he's a punk bitch. But, am I allowed to say that? Is that okay?
He's a punk ass bitch.
Okay, sure. But yeah, they're all like, come out, May! And May's like, I don't wanna. And then May picks up the massive lightsaber that is Kelnaka's, which is a nice detail, but it doesn't look nearly big enough.
Yeah, at least it is bigger, at least.
I think it's implied that I mean, it's not even implied, it's shown. He does very much fight with a one-handed lightsaber style, so you can kind of give it a pass on that sense, but yeah, it looks like it should be a lot bigger, the handle, I mean.
Yeah, totally.
But that is nitty-picky bullshit. We get introduced to Basil, the fucking little otter thing, and this character doesn't make any sense in later episodes.
No, his motivations are all over the fucking place. It's fucking stupid. I hate this character.
Yeah, I mean, he's barely a character. He exists in this to help the Jedi find Kelnaka, which he does. But then once he does that, he just he
sticks around for no reason.
It stops making sense.
Yeah, he fucks around with Sol and everything. It's like, why?
There's no answer given. There's not even There's not even the implication that May used weird Force bullshit without realizing it. It's just, no, this guy's a cunt.
Yeah, little shit.
All right, let's get to episode 5 because episode 5 is by far the standout standout episode in my opinion, and it bothers me a lot that it's mostly just fight scenes.
Yeah. This is the one where anyone who matters, who's not Sol, the main two girls, or Quimir, dies. So it's basically Jeki and Yord die in combat. Jeki in particular gets triple stabbed, and Yord gets his neck snapped. Osha got Yord killed 100%.
Yeah, 100%. And there's not even a moment of fucking mourning. And I get it, she's in a rush to do things involving May, but even when she wakes up, she's not like, oh fuck, I just got what is implied to be one of her best friends killed.
Yeah.
Or at least was a good friend when she was doing her Jedi training.
Well, with Jeki, it's implied that there might have been something more that could have developed, and Quimir even taunts her about it later, going, "Yeah, nothing was going to happen there. She was too much of a Girl Scout."
I feel like the people writing and directing did a poor job in conveying that, because those two had 2 scenes together.
Yeah.
And it was not implied to be anything more than just 2 people talking who happened to share a master.
Mm-hmm.
At least in my opinion.
And then, meanwhile, Quimir is just exuding sexy energy.
Okay. I think that's next episode when he's in the pool.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, in this episode he's just being a dick. He's
just slightly sweaty in this episode.
I mean, he also doesn't take his fucking top off in this episode, so therefore you don't know.
Yeah.
Speaking of people taking their tops off, Yord took his top off really early on, and I distinctly remember going, "Oh fuck!" I feel like the actor had demanded this was written into the script.
Yeah.
and I don't blame the man. It was an impressive body.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, sorry. The fight scenes were cool. I think it was weird to include it, but I can't hate it because it was cool. Where he's got some weird, he's got a weird fighting style. As Quimir, where because of the metal in his helmet, he's got the same metal, and like I feel like it's his knee pads and elbows. And if he hits a lightsaber in the exact right spot, it short circuits it.
Yeah. This is something that was in the expanded universe years ago. It's called cortosis, and yeah, it messes with the field that lightsabers use to be lightsabers.
All right, but I question how good of an idea it is to have to do a headbutt to utilize it.
Well, I think it's more a case of he wanted to make an entire set of armor out of it, but only had enough for a helmet, because, you know, if you're going to protect something, your head is a pretty good place to do it with.
Yeah.
And if someone's going for the kill shot, they're probably going to go for the head, aren't they?
Well, apparently. But here's the thing, though, is like he knows he's fighting Jedi, and Jedi don't tend to do that.
Yeah, they go for the stumps.
Although, that being said, it's very interesting, isn't it? Because I think it's Osha who says early on that a Jedi... No, it's not even Osha, I think it's May, who says a Jedi only uses their lightsaber if they intend to kill. And it's like, that's not true.
No.
That's never been a thing.
Like, just casually using it as a torch.
Using it as a torch, using it for self-defense. It's very rare that Jedi ever kill anyone. That's why you always get dismemberments in Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
Like, we call it the Skywalker Special. But yeah, the fight scenes are great. I kind of didn't care when Yord died because of 2 reasons. 1, no one seemed to give a shit. And 2, it was pretty obvious that Yord going back was going to get him killed. I, however, did feel really, really bad for Jeki.
Yeah, Jeki in particular we feel bad for.
Well, we felt bad for it as well because Sol saw it.
Yeah, Sol sees it and goes, "She was a child," and Quimir just goes, "Yeah, you brought her here, tee-hee."
I mean, it was the line I'm actually thinking of is Sol says her name. He says Jeki, and Quirim, like a real piece of shit, just goes, "Was that its name?"
Oof, yeah.
Like, Quirim is a Quirim. Quimir is a piece of shit, and
yes,
it's really, really annoying because he is so fucking charismatic in every scene he's in that you forget he's a monster.
Yeah. Like, if it weren't for this episode, he'd be a lot more sympathetic.
I mean, like, again, his big speech at the beginning is the typical fucking 19-year-old edgelord's vision of the Sith, which is, I should be allowed to do what I want, which freedom is often considered a rather just trait to have. However, his idea of freedom is, I'm stronger than you, so I should be allowed to kill you.
Yeah, it's not freedom from persecution, it's freedom to persecute.
Pretty much. And again, it's why it bothers me that up until this point, they're painting the Jedi as some sort of Gestapo.
Yeah. The other one is, you might not have noticed this, but apparently Quimir gets Kylo Ren's theme towards the end of the episode.
Oh, I didn't notice that because I only watched 2 of those movies and I thought they sucked.
Sure.
That being said, though, I did send you an amusing comic, didn't I?
Yeah.
So someone took a screen grab of Kylo Ren shouting, which isn't hard to find, and I don't get it. My Jedi girlfriend, the Jedi that should be my girlfriend, hates me. It just cuts to Quimir in his cave, chilling and going, I don't know, man. Have you tried not shouting at her?
Yeah, tried not yelling.
Because that's something interesting as well. Because even when Quimir is fighting, he never actually raises his voice.
No, he's it's implied that his passion is passion, you know, and it's ambition and want and just avarice and greed, you know, not your standard angry berserker rage.
I mean, even from his fighting style, you can see he's very calm and measured. And I don't know if it was a purposeful decision to cast Asian actors as Soul and Quimir, but this goes less for Soul and more for Quimir, because once he separates his lightsaber into 2, he's very much using a distinct Japanese I don't know if it's a fighting style, but we've seen it in anime all the fucking time, where you've got the long sword and the very small one, and that's how you dual wield. And they've got specific names that I cannot be asked to remember right now.
Yeah, like the Katana Wakizashi kind of idea.
Yeah. So I don't know if that was a purposeful decision or not, but I think it does help that Quimir has a distinctive lightsaber design.
Yeah, and we find out what's interesting about it later when he pulls the second saber out the bottom of it.
Yeah, and it's cool. It's a cool moment.
Yeah, and then he puts it away again.
Well, yeah. I think the logic is the less people know about it, the better.
Sure, I get it. It's a bit like Darth Maul. He only opens up his second saber when he's sure that everyone's going to die.
Yeah, it's like the opposite of Darth Vader's motivation, because Darth Vader fights one-handed when he thinks you're not worth his time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when he puts the second hand on, that's when he's getting serious.
Yeah, and it's like you should be honoured by the fact he thinks you're tough enough to warrant him taking you seriously, and 2, shit yourself, because Darth Vader's scary when he's serious.
Yes.
But yeah, talking about much more popular Star Wars characters, I think the 2 standouts from this series are Quimir and Soul, and it's a shame that Soul is now gone. Yeah,
and he's also been thrown under the bus as well.
Yeah, I didn't like that, but it makes sense in story. I can only hope that what's her name is at least honest with Yoda about it, but then it's gonna make Yoda look bad if Yoda knows about the plot.
Yeah, unless Yoda is the one that thinks he solved it in season 2 or beyond.
Could be. I don't think this deserved 2 series. I think they really should have had a cohesive storyline that ended in 1. But
yeah, I agree.
You know,
like even if they had to make 10 episodes instead of 8.
I mean, from the series title and description, I thought it was going to be a one and done.
Yeah. Like something like this, it makes sense for it to be a one and done, for something like this to show up and get dealt with,
like,
you know?
For real. Like, you can have characters not be dealt with and have them appear later on, but have them not be the focus.
Yeah.
Which is something they kind of fucked up with Boba Fett, because they had Mandalorian show up, but then Mandalorian stole every single scene he was in.
Yeah. It was Mando season 2.5.
It really was.
With a couple of Boba Fett episodes. And that show got better when it stopped being flashbacks, but you needed the flashbacks for the whole story. But I got bored of them.
Well, it shouldn't have been flashbacks. They should. No, I tell a lie. It should have been one episode that was one big flashback, and that was it. However, this series shows why that's a bad fucking idea.
Yeah, because, well, that's the thing. They have 2 episodes of it.
Well, yeah, because they decide to arbitrarily hide shit. It didn't make any sense having the first episode that was a flashback. They could have just showed the second one, and it would have changed nothing.
Yeah.
The second one was just like, gotcha, and it's like, no, you fucking didn't. We knew you were gonna do some bullshit to try and justify it, and it wasn't enough.
Yeah, we knew they were going to do something silly, and something was going to... The shit was going to hit the fan some way or the other.
We'll talk about it in a minute. Let's talk about episode 6.
Yeah, episode 6. This is the horny episode.
It is, man. Yeah, not much to say, really. It was good. Quimir was doing what Quimir does, and that he was trying to tempt Osha to the dark side. He didn't really succeed, but he did just later on. Yeah, it's interesting seeing how much Quimir respects Osha, just by the fact that Osha didn't immediately turn.
Yeah. He says later on, like, yeah, May didn't even need to didn't even need to think before giving her answer. You're definitely not the same person. May also resets Pip to the factory settings.
Yeah, which... What?
Yeah. Because Pip was OSHA's main droid and sprayed oil in May's eye, and just because of that, she resets him back to factory settings.
Yeah,
and from then on, it's now OSHA's droid with a red eye.
But the thing that had me questioning...
Sorry, May's droid with a red eye.
I get you, it's fine. The thing that made me very confused was it was kind of implied that, it blew up.
Yeah, and then they found it again.
Yeah, but that's just it, though, because OSHA said goodbye.
Yeah.
So it's just like
why she turned it into a fucking grenade and threw it. And
I'm not being rude or nothing, but OSHA is technologically savvy. It's one of the few things they made incredibly obvious. She would know if this was actually a goodbye, and she seemed to think that was the end. So what the fuck?
Like, even as a kid, she was techno-savvy, and that's how she escaped from the temple.
A detail I forgot, because it happened during the fire, which was so mind-numbingly dumb, it made me stupid for 5 minutes.
Yeah, she hacked the wall and was able to escape that way.
Oh, goodness gracious. Alrighty. Yeah, fucking Sol tries to bond with May thinking it's OSHA, which doesn't make any sense to me. He's meant to be a pretty savvy Jedi, and he couldn't feel any disturbances in the Force. Now, to be fair, I had this criticism before, and I was speaking to you about it, and you straight up said, well, he's pretty stressed right now, maybe that's clouding him, and I'm like, yeah, but I don't fucking care. Show it more.
Yeah.
Show, do not tell. It's a fucking core tenet of writing.
Yes. And also, Sol escapes about 2 seconds before the rest of the Jedi appear exactly where he was.
Don't worry about it.
But yeah, this is the one where we get to see the one shot of Venestra using her light whip.
Do we?
Yeah, episode 6. Yeah, we get to... it's where she just deals with the Umbra Moth without even turning round. She just... goes one whip and it's done.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the episode I actually watched with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we just come off our quote-unquote holiday, and I happened to be chilling at your place because, I had another day to wait for a train.
Yeah, so we got to watch this together after Geek Week.
Yeah, and I distinctly remember going in, I don't understand how they can stretch this out to 2 more episodes, and the answer is by having another fucking flashback.
Yeah.
Which is the worst fucking possible solution.
Yeah. And Basil is still on the ship and being a bit of an arse because, I think he's able to tell which one's which between May and OSHA.
Yeah, because he does the scent bullshit.
Yeah, he does the sniffing, and he's always sniffing.
And just as an aside, if we were using more traditional means of filming, you know for a fact that this character would be played by Warwick Davis.
Oh yeah. Except he's a prick, so I don't want Warwick Davis to play a prick.
But he can play pricks. He played that prick goblin in Harry Potter.
Oh, yeah.
Just saying,
that's
the guy's
all
got
the goblins
range.
in Harry Potter are pricks.
Yeah, because they're all meant to be Jewish and J.K. Rowling's racist.
Yeah, unironically.
I'm not joking, it doesn't take 2 fucking brain cells to piece together that they're meant to be an analogue for Jewish people, and it fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Why are we talking about J.K. again? This is a theme.
We weren't even talking about her, but this bitch.
Oh, for real. Fuck Miss fucking Rowling. But not literally, though. Figuratively.
Yeah.
Are we going to talk about the fucking elephant in the room? Are we going to talk about episode 7?
Yeah, okay.
This episode sucks.
This episode is called Choice, and it's where we get to see Torben getting mind controlled. Kelnaka also gets mind controlled.
This one bothered me a lot, not because I don't believe Kelnaka is susceptible to mind control. It doesn't matter how wizened and experienced you are, and Wookiees are always implied to be old as fuck. You're susceptible to this shit. The thing I take umbrage with is that they clearly only wrote him getting mind controlled because they wanted to have another lightsaber fight, because of course they wanted a lightsaber fight. This episode's boring.
Yep. We've got Mother Coral and Anastasia kind of at odds, but also when the Jedi show up, they're kind of united against them mostly. Anastasia is essentially going to give OSHA her blessing to become a Jedi, which makes it all the more annoying when she tries to do a Misty Step through Sol, and Sol stabs her through the heart reflexively.
This bothers me in so many ways, and I'm sure it bothers a lot of people, but let's break it down, shall we? Because there's so many things that just don't make sense. I just want to point out, by the way, the description of this episode starts with 16 years earlier, so you can fuck right off.
Yep.
Ugh. Anyway, okay, so before we even got to that, young Torben fucked off because he wanted to capture the girls because he wanted to leave and go back to Coruscant because he's homesick. That happens. He's young. That makes sense. I've got no issues with that. Sol is then sent to catch him and bring him back, and then Sol has a change of heart when he gets there and goes, we need to save the kids. And, okay, it makes sense. Sol is worried about the kids, but it's dumb. So they climb up, they get in, we get this confrontation with the two mothers, and, yeah, the thing happens. It doesn't make sense from anyone's perspective.
Yeah, like, why would you pull a sword on someone who's very obviously just trying to escape?
I can understand. Well. I can understand Sol being fidgety. He thinks they're evil witches. However, he's also a Jedi Master. I'm not saying Jedis are perfect. In fact, they're pretty far from it as painted in this series and this series alone. Well, actually, the prequel trilogy, the Masters are pretty useless too. But yeah, like I get it. He's twitchy. He's nervous. He thinks he's in a den of evil. But he's meant to be better. He's been demonstrated that he's better than this. And I guess their excuse is, oh, this is 16 years earlier when he was a bit younger. And it's like, but he's still a master at this point in his life.
Yeah. Well, even if not, he might be just a knight because it's implied that he's still answering to I forgot her name. Trinity.
Indira.
Yeah, Master Indara, yeah.
But, okay, even taking that into account, right? The witches know they're nervous, which, for some reason, they can sense that the Jedi are nervous, but the Jedi can't sense that they're not in any fucking harm. But whatever, who gives a fuck, right? The witches are good, the Jedi are evil. Fuck you. Anyway, why in the fuck would she do the thing she did, other than to frighten them more?
Yeah, and then the rest of the coven just poofs out to start doing their stupid fucking ritual, which then gets them all killed when it ends.
It doesn't make any sense at all.
And they're all dead. Like, because it's fucking silly.
Here's the reason why.
It's fucking silly.
Here's the reason why that happened, Rick, is because even though they're determined to paint the Jedi as fucking pieces of shit, they don't want to show the Jedi slaughtering a bunch of defenseless women.
Mm-hmm. They just overload them.
But here's the thing, is if they went the route of, by the way, these two Jedi killed all the witches, I would have went, that's stupid, the motivation isn't there. But at least then everything else fucking makes sense.
Yeah.
Well. This episode, like, it just makes you double down on all the bad things that was established in episode 3. Because May still fucking sets fire to things. It's implied that she didn't think things would go on fire as badly as they did, but she's still meant to set a fire.
How could a sea perks go on fire? Yep. Yeah, this episode makes the series worse. Episode 8.
It's not... it's bad. It's not good.
Yep. It's not clear why Darth Plagueis is at Kimir's house.
No, it's not, although someone has implied it's the Cuck Cave, which I found really funny, because his cave is right underneath Kimir's, and it's just like, apparently he just pokes his head in to watch, and it's like, fucking, that's dumb, but I find it funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, because going into this, I thought it wasn't unreasonable that the big bad evil Sith guy in charge was going to be Plagueis, because it would make sense, the timeline adds up, but But no, he's just watching the guy. Is it implied that Plagueis is such a mastermind and so leaking evil that he's the reason Quimir's bad? We don't know. We get no questions answered. We get Osha and May's story wrapped up in a bow, kinda, but it ends with Quimir and Osha standing looking at the sunset being like, everything's gonna be okay. By the way, my former master might be hunting us down.
Yep. Yeah, everything's gonna be okay for us villains. My former master, who should have been like one of the protagonists and has been doing very quite close to fuck all season, is now going to be the protagonist next season.
Why the fuck was she not shown doing anything apart from arguing with bureaucrats?
Yeah, like, I think the implication is that the bureaucrat is another patsy of the Sith. Either that or he's a useful idiot.
I think he's a useful idiot. Because Plagueis is in the Cuck Cave. He's not in Coruscant.
Yeah.
I can't. The term Cuck Cave is so funny to me. It's on the level of of like, no. He's your mother's lover. I like to watch. Sometimes in an armchair, sometimes in a closet. Almost always dressed as Superman. It's the same level. It's just so funny to me. Why?
Oh boy. But yeah. Osha finally learns the truth, and she goes off the deep end and force chokes Master Saul, even though Master Saul still loves Osha as a father figure, and he's still trying to justify it even while he's being choked out, and it's it's a bad look for him, but you kind of understand it to a reason. But then after he's dead, like, they just pile the entire thing on him.
The cover up makes sense. I understand why they did that. I've got no qualms with that. I think it's here's the thing, is they make it very obvious that Green Lady regrets the fact that she has made this decision. So that's fine in my book.
She even, like, kneels down next to his corpse and goes, "I'm sorry, old friend."
Yeah. But here's another instance of, like, the Force being finicky and basically a magical plot device, which it is, but they usually hide it better than this. Because she can sense Quimir.
Yeah. Like, she knows he's there, she can sense him, and she still doesn't, blame anything on him.
But why can't Soul sense that fucking May isn't Osha?
Apparently because they got the same soul.
Fuck off. That's not me telling you to fuck off. That's me telling the writers to fuck off. Stop being so fucking lazy and explain something.
Yeah, apparently them having the same soul is so unprecedented that it's unsettling to people who are looking for that kind of thing.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I didn't like the Soul death scene because it's like, is it true, Soul? And Soul's like, yes, every bit of it. Not, but he doesn't explain that, she was doing some magic shit and it freaked me out. I didn't mean to kill her. He doesn't explain that part.
She teleported into my sword.
Well, yeah, alright, that's trying to make light of it. I appreciate that. But again, Soul doesn't explain.
Yeah. They also don't explain the, like, little teleportation things that even the girls can do.
Wait, what?
Like, we've seen mostly May doing it, but I think Osha does it as well, where they start doing the little poofing thing.
Do they?
I think so.
I don't think so. I think that's just bad camera work.
Okay.
Like, because I don't remember them ever teleporting. I just remember there being weird cuts.
Sure.
Anyway, I might be wrong on that front, and fucking come at me if you want. Let's talk about the moment that's got the nerds melting down.
Yeah, where the lightsaber changes colour. This is something that I thought was actually going to happen in Revenge of the Sith, because I saw a toy lightsaber that you could flick from red to blue, or blue to red. And I was like, oh, is that what they're going to do in this? And no, they don't. But now they do it in this. You see the crystal change colour as it gets bled, as it's filled with hate from the person using it. And Osha turns a nice, good guy, Jedi Guardian blue lightsaber into an horrible fucking red bastard one.
And Quimir's got the fucking horn so much when he watches this.
Yeah, because this is meant to, like, in regular canon, this is meant to be like a multiple day thing of filling the crystal with hate and making the crystal just, they call it bleeding, and the idea is that because the crystal's got some kind of connection to the Force itself, that you're corrupting the Force within it. Mm-hmm. And it always goes red. And there's a potential for that's why Mace Windu's is purple, because it's halfway there.
Yeah, except the real reason Mace Windu's is purple is because Samuel L. Jackson liked purple.
Oh, yeah, because Samuel L. Jackson's favourite colour is purple. That's the real reason, yeah.
Like, I can't remember who made the joke, but it was really funny. It's like, okay, so we got 3 lightsaber colours. You got blue, that's for this. You got green, that's for that. And purple's just for black guys. Which is a joke I found really funny, but it's just made even funnier by, like, that is kind of the reason, because Samuel L. Jackson is just like, I like purple, can I have a purple one? And George is such a pushover, he's like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, we can do purple. Yeah.
I also love the interview where Samuel L. Jackson reveals that, because he does a really adorable impression of George Lucas.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually quite like the visual here, but I understand mega nerds fucking hate it because, yeah, as you said, it's been established in extended lore that it's meant to be a long, arduous process, and the reason why I don't quite like it is because, again, it is invoking, like, a blood visual, and
yes,
she killed Soul by a force choke where there is no blood.
Yeah.
And Quimir's going like, you killed someone without a weapon. So the force isn't a weapon now.
Yeah, apparently the force isn't a weapon, but poison is.
I agree that poison is a weapon because it is. It's a thing you use to kill someone. But
persuading someone to drink it of their own accord isn't you killing them.
It's, yeah, again, the rules are made up and the points don't matter, Rick.
Yeah, it's dumb.
The visual was great. Osha's sudden turn is a bit weird, but okay, whatever. And essentially, the grand finale is everything's kind of reset. May is now not good, but she's been mind wiped, so she's kind of good. And Osha's now a villain.
She doesn't remember being evil.
Yeah.
She's now she's now adorable and innocent. She doesn't remember being evil. Doesn't remember doing all the murders that she's done, and doesn't remember Like, she remembers her sister, and that's it. And that's it. That's as far back as she remembers.
She doesn't remember her sister.
Oh, yeah, she doesn't remember. Because she tries to...
the Green Lady asks her about it, and her first response is, I have a sister?
Yeah. Yeah, they try and do that rhyme that it's implied neither of them were taught it. They just kind of made it up themselves, and it's like between them.
Well, yeah, she did they were doing the rhyme when they were wiping her memory.
Yeah, and that's to that's to show that she's been like properly wiped, because she can't remember even the end of that.
Yeah, and I will admit, it's a good ethical question, one that Star Wars is far from the first one to fucking ask it. Where it's just like, if someone can't remember all the horrible shit they did, are they still guilty? Do you still punish them? And it really depends on someone's view on punishment. Is punishment meant to be a sort of revenge from society, or is punishment meant to reform people? Is it meant to educate? Is it meant to teach? Is it meant to rehabilitate? And depending on how you view punishment as, depends on how you fall on the debate, I find.
Yeah, well, there's always the kind of in-between option of it's neither. It's to remove the offending person from society.
Yes, but in theory that falls under rehabilitation.
Well, I guess, but it's also like, it just gets them out of society. It means that they're no longer a threat to anyone else, and it's protecting everyone else rather than punishing the person.
But again, that's eliminating the question. The core question is, if someone did horrible shit but can't remember and has no ties to it any longer, what do you do? And at the moment, it seems the Jedi are leaning towards, well, she can't remember doing any of it. But it's also kind of implied that one of the reasons is they technically don't have any proof she did it. And also, they've pinned it all on Sol now, so it, she actually hasn't done anything according to the law.
Yeah, so they can't try her for something that someone else has been charged with, because there's already a perpetrator in the eyes of the law. So technically, she should be free to go, but it would be intensely narratively irresponsible for her to just, walk free,
Yeah, it's kind of annoying, because it's implied that what's going to happen in season 2 is, while Osha already has Jedi training, she's going to be taught a bit more of the dark side with with
Quimir. Yeah.
I keep wanting to say Quirim, and I know it's wrong. Quimir. And it's sort of implied that they're going to try and teach May, but in the Jedi ways, and I don't know why.
Yeah. Weird. Oh, well, we'll find out. But again,
I wasn't very high on this series. I thought it was mostly lows. In fact, I described it as the good things are really good, but it's buried under a pile of shit. And it's not bad enough to make me not watch season 2. It's not that bad. However, this is also part of the problem. Because if people keep watching it, they're gonna keep fucking churning out shit.
Yeah. I hope the next movie's good.
What is the next movie?
I believe it's Mando and Grogu.
They're getting a movie.
Yeah.
Specifically those two. They're not a cameo in it.
No, it's the movie is titled after them.
That's fucking stupid. What with how 4 ended?
Yeah, because they've got a house now. They've got their little flat, and it's basically they may return, but the idea is that it's going to be as cameos, and then oh no.
Yeah, so it's kind of baffling with because that's exactly what I thought they were going to do. With the implication of the end of season 4 was the Mandalorian and Grogu are still in the universe, and they can show up if things are set in this time period, and that's why they left it as it was. With them doing a movie, I'm suspicious that we'll either get a much older Grogu and therefore an ailing Mandalorian, or they'll just kill the Mandalorian off and it will be Grogu alone in the universe.
Yes, that seems to be the kind of quote-unquote correct way to do it, because I think they're sick of doing it.
Well, again, I feel like, just leaving it where it was at the end of season 4 and being like, yeah, everyone can cheer when the Mandalorian shows up. Like, they're never going to get as big of a reaction as they got for Luke. And I feel like they keep tracing that.
Yeah, I think Pedro Pascal is actually legitimately sick of playing the character as well.
Yeah, but money.
Yeah.
And also,
and the longer you go without it, like, the longer you go without doing it, the less tired you get of something.
We can't miss you if you don't go away.
Yes. But yes, I think that's about time for the final 3. So, from the entirety of the Acolyte, do you have a favourite moment?
I mean, I think it would be absolutely criminal not to give the scene its due. And basically, all the fighting in episode 5 was great, but the first time we see Quimir headbutt the lightsaber and deactivate it, even for only a few seconds, it's like, yes, that's the kind of shit I want to see. I want to see new ways of combating a dude with a lightsaber. Because other than, stereotypical fucking lightsaber battles and Cad Bane's, anyone with a flamethrower using that to distance themselves, there's really not much you can do. So seeing something new is always great.
Yeah, absolutely. How
about you?
It was very similar. I'm going to... Now that you've talked about the episode 5 one, I'm going to go to the episode 8 finale with Quimir just parting his lightsaber and being a little badass and just doing stuff and fighting like he's possessed, as it were.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with that one, but with a massive nod towards all of this good stuff in episode 5 as well.
Did he even... I'm actually trying to think back. Did he even purposefully split his lightsaber the first time? Because I feel like Sol cut it in half, and it appeared like he cut it in half, and Quimir then just went haha and ignited the second half of it. Am I making that up? I could be making that up.
I don't know, actually. I'd have to rewatch it, but
don't put yourself through the pain.
In episode 8 it was in episode 8 he obviously just pulled it apart. So, but yes, we don't always talk about the good stuff. What's your weakest link?
I feel like it would be unfair to just say episode 3 and 7 in their entireties. So I'll focus on one moment to be a bit more balanced, shall we say.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 7, Cal Naka getting mind controlled. Because while the moment wasn't out of place, it very much felt like, shit, this episode's boring, we need a lightsaber fight.
Sure.
It just felt like that to me. And yeah, I think there's more egregious things I could point to, but I feel like you're going to talk about those, so...
Yeah, my one is the episode 3 burning down a building with a book.
It's fucking stupid.
Yep.
There's no defending that shit.
I think they tried to save it in episode 7 by showing how big the fire got from the outside, but it felt like, they heard some criticism, they rewatched it and decided to play it up while recording for episode 7.
I don't think they could have edited anything in that sort of time frame, Rick.
Sure. But yeah, it felt like the fire in episode 7 was bigger than the fire in episode 3. But that's something that it feels like, that was a bit of a saving throw, it felt like. But even then, it was still stupid. Stupid.
But all they needed to do was not have the fucking thing made out of metal and stone.
Yeah. Like if they were in tree houses, it would have worked.
Again, it feels like this was written with Kashyyyk in mind.
Yes. Or like Dathomir or something, which is another forest land.
Yeah, now, just as an aside, by the way, if we're talking about Star Wars fans being nitpicky, whiny little bitches, which we like to do, in episode 1 there was an explosion/fire in space that a bunch of people complained about, and it's like, it's a Star Wars, that happens all the time.
Yeah. Like, it's not like the Death Star blew up with no sound.
Like, for real. And also, it was tiny and clearly an electrical fire. It made sense. And, unless the fire was made bigger and more powerful by the force of May's hatred, which we know isn't the case because May kind of immediately regretted it, but she still did it, it makes no sense to me. And it bothers me that I watched an episode of TV and went, why is the stone on fire?
Yeah. But yes, we like to end on a high note. Who's going to be your MVP?
I'm really torn between two characters. Because he definitely won't show up again unless exclusively in flashback form, which, God, we can only hope we don't get any more of those. I'm going to give it to Sol. Yeah,
absolutely. He was essentially he was kind of like the Qui-Gon Jinn of this series.
That's spot on, really.
Yeah, he's like the character that the fans would have wanted to see more of, and we know we're not going to. It's not so much satisfying, because it's inherently unsatisfying, but it's narratively effective when you feel deprived of a character by their death, because it just shows how much you cared about them.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I just enjoyed watching Sol. Every time Sol wasn't on screen, I was asking, "Where's Sol?
Where's Poochie?" Yeah.
For real though, I enjoyed Sol. He came across as a wizened and experienced character, and it feels like that's actually what the writers wanted you to think for a fucking change. And apart from some hiccups later on, which was more the writing side of things rather than the actor, I think the actor knocked it out the fucking park. It felt like I was watching a Jedi Master, apart from episode 7.
Yeah. Which, in my opinion, that's before he got the rank of Master. So
sure, it's unclear, and it shouldn't be unclear.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, what about you? Who's getting your MVP?
Yeah, mine's also going to Master Sol. So apologies to Quimir.
Yeah, for real, dude. Like Quimir, you were the character I was debating whether or not to give it to, and I gave it to Sol because I thought Rick wouldn't give it to Sol. So
And just everything I said about Saul's parallels to Qui-Gon kind of ring true in my opinion. And it was nice to see. We pointed out earlier that we got like an Asian actor influence in that he felt a bit like a samurai.
Yeah, I mean, let's not fucking beat around the bush here. Sol and Cormier both fucking chef's kiss on every single one of their fight scenes. Whoever was the coordinator deserves a fuck ton of praise as well. Just beautiful.
Yeah. And I'm going to give a slight nod to Leslie Headland as well, the showrunner, because even though not everything was perfect, the fact that she was given essentially free reign and she did something with it it's good, and I think she should be given the keys again.
I'm going to put an asterisk on that, whereas, yes, I'm glad someone is trying something different with the Star Wars license, because, you know, that's part of the problems with the sequel trilogies, is they're like, let's just do the original trilogy again!
Yep.
But the asterisk being that I don't think this was good. I didn't enjoy it. I enjoyed it less than I enjoyed it. Like, there was good things. It really was. Don't get me wrong, but I think as a whole, this was not a good show.
And also, the little trivia is that Master Vanestra is her wife.
Name...
Vanestra, the Green Lady.
Yeah, so in case it wasn't clear, Rick, I've been calling her the Green Lady because I don't know her name. I mean, she did well. I think she performed the character well. It was one of the few characters who I thought, boy, I wish we were focusing more on this person.
Yeah. Like, it's one of those, if she wasn't a character from the comics, then I think they could have just used her and put her through the ringer a bit more. But I think the idea is that because she's from the comics, they need to not kill her.
Well, yeah, that's the silver lining, isn't it? Because we're like, it's almost 95% certain that she's going to be a much bigger part in season 2.
Yeah.
And I'll end it on this. While I've been overly negative on the Acolyte, I will admit season 2 looks like it's going to be a lot better.
Yes.
So I don't know. Maybe this just had teething issues.
Apparently, it was also considered that Plagueis' scene was going to be the last scene instead of Yoda.
I think that would have been better, personally.
But yeah.
I don't think they should have showed Yoda at all. And it bothered me a lot when it happened, because it's like, we know Yoda's going to show up because it's within the time frame.
But yes, that's it for us today. If you like the episode, you've got the comment section down below on YouTube. And if you're listening via one of the audio platforms, you can instead send us an email at
nonsensereviewuk@gmail.com.
Well, thanks everybody, and I'll see you all next time.
Bye, guys.